when you said 15 a day, I just thought, oh no. There's one person in sort of our group cluster, and she's on there at least twice a day, and we just tune her out. This,
Yep.
um, and so I'm shocked that you would
Let's
recommend that.
let's talk about it.
I might post once a month, and I
Yeah.
like what I put up. It's
Yep.
quality. I like the
Yep.
responses I get, but 15 a day.
Let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. So first of all, I noticed I listened very carefully. You said a word quality. You're judging the quality, Carol, about your own self. You're grading your own homework, right?
Yes.
Also, on the other side, you and your colleagues are judging this individual. And that is a very small focus group of the entire perspective group. Number three, you might be 100% right. Let everybody be reminded here that the variable of success is the creative. So if this creative from this colleague is poor, self-centered, selfish, not bringing value, that could also very much make sense to me why it's being tuned out. Now, let's take a step back. You, once a month, this colleague twice a day, are posting organically. And it's hitting a lot of the same people. When I talk about everybody's businesses here and I say 15 a day, I talk about media planning. So I want you to make a video that might be targeting a certain state, a specific organization, a specific problem narrow to one of the business that you're trying to target may have. When you make that video of like, hey, I'll give you an example. I'll jam with you, Carol. Hey guys, it's Carol. Are you an accountant? That's the first thing you say. Well, good news, Carol. We've spent $88 or $400 on LinkedIn only against people who are accountants. So as you can see where I'm about to go, and I think some people are going to start picking up the pieces of where I go with that master headline, you're making a piece of content just for accountants and why you or your organization is valuable to them. And then you may be done with that video or that written article or the audio clip that you wanted to distribute. And then you may restart and make another video and say, hey, for all the real estate agents, let's talk about what's going on. So now all of a sudden you can see how you can get to 15 very easily because you might be saying the same thing, slightly different to 15 different groups of people. So I always say that this is about Baskin Robbins instead of what I think everybody in the world is doing, which is they're selling vanilla. When you're making one message for everyone, you're only going to hit a very small group of people. When you understand how the internet's structured and these platforms are structured, you realize that you don't have to waste money or time and effort to distribute messages that don't necessarily hit the mark for the person that's on the other end of it. And then to your point, without knowing anything about the individual that you guys are razzing, you know, she or he may not be putting out content. I think one of the biggest things for everyone here, my career and the other things that I've seen that have worked are predicated on putting out content that brings value to the audience. It's not a sales call. It's not a what I call a right hook. It's a jab. I'm trying to build brand and intrigue and relevance, which then creates consideration to do something with me, not trying to close somebody on my process or they should hire me immediately on the first thing they see in their feed. So that's where some of the 15 comes from. And then, by the way, you know, there's also taking a video and posting it and then stripping the audio out of it and posting it because some people like audio and then transcribing the written word, you know, because you've realized this all. I mean, I'm going to very advanced places and I'm coming back down. If everybody here knew that they could hire somebody from Fiverr and pay them $5, you know, to transcribe a video, all of a sudden like, oh, I can? Like there's a stunning misunderstanding and lack of education of the production and distribution of internet content today. And I come here today open-hearted, hoping that I can get one of you to take this way more seriously because the financial impacts are extraordinary. They really are. When you really understand brand and sales in these environments. So makes sense, Cindy, it's what, Carol, excuse me, which is why I wanted to call you in here because she's going organic, hitting the same people over and over with that organic. Eventually the algorithm will stop showing that to you if you stop engaging with it. If you and your colleagues enjoy looking at it and then making fun of it, well then LinkedIn's gonna think you like it, so they're gonna keep showing it to you. So that's kind of how it works in a little detail, Carol. Makes sense?
Yes. Thank you.
And I think team, for everybody here, if real quick, B2C companies in here, raise your hands. So for the hands that just went up, as you can imagine, for you, 15 becomes, entry level, because B2B, LinkedIn is a dream. B2C, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can imagine these 15 become 113. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you with the number. Back to Carol's point, if you're sitting here eating your sandwich offline or salad and you're once a month and I'm coming in here with all this energy, 15 a day, or you're dead. Listen, there's nothing, nobody's going out of business if they don't do this properly. I don't believe overnight, but I will promise all of you, and it's very clear in the data, you're losing market share by not. This is not about you're going out of business. This is, hey, give 20 hours of your mind time. Nobody got to this call by not putting in real work ethic. And no matter where you are in your career, isn't it worth getting 20 hours of education on this with yourself on Google and YouTube? It's not about paying anybody. This is about getting your hands dirty, learning at very low costs about what it takes to be a good communicator on the internet, because it's wildly playing out from Netflix to Peloton to every election. Like, the mapping of the math is very clear. There's an incredible upside to buying attention at a better price. It worked in radio, it worked in television, it worked in cable, it worked in early internet. I'll give you an example. I built my daddy's wine shop, the thing I'm known for from a lot of people. When we had no money, I took it from a $3 to a $65 million business with no money, because I knew that Google AdWords were really cheap. Nobody was buying them. I was the first person to buy all the wine terms. They were 5 cents a click. And because nobody knew, I was able to build a very big company. Meanwhile, while I was doing that, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Bezos had a lot of capital, had a lot of talent, and he became by far Amazon. Amazon was Google AdWords' biggest ad spender for the first 6 years of that platform. Stick with me here now. By a 30x multiplier against eBay, which was number 2. That organization figured out the attention was so underpriced on Google search that they bet the house on it and used many things, but that move is a foundational brick to why Amazon is a company that eventually will have to probably be broken up by the government because of their dominance. Mm-hmm. There is nothing more valuable, my friends, than you being able to get the attention of the person that makes the decision to give you money, right? I mean, it's more, how one does that. I think about all of the golfing and steak dinners and booths you buy at conferences and direct mail and print. And then I think about the last 7 years of people doing some social media, but them doing it with their niece or a come by lately person that says they knew how to do it, because most business owners didn't know how to judge it. And so I understand why we sit here today in 2021 with people confused of, is this important or not? Is it good or not? Does it do anything for my business or not? But I would leave with this, and I'll go into the next questions. Hey, Andrea, Kaylin, feel free to navigate me by calling on someone. The ROI of a basketball for Gary Vaynerchuk is about a negative $150,000 at this point, given the injuries that I've incurred in the last 5 years of 2 torn meniscuses and a broken foot. The ROI of a basketball for LeBron James is going to be north of $1 billion when that gentleman goes through his life. This is about knowing how to use the tool. But the ROI is clearly there. And I want to motivate people to take a second, third, fifth, ninth look at the content and media ecosystem for your businesses, because I see it work every day of the week.